Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video. And for those of you that are not familiar with pattern recognition, you basically want to solve a set of puzzles and you go through them multiple times. If you just solve a puzzle once, you may just forget the patterns and the tactics that you see in the puzzle. So by solving it multiple times, it'll help reinforce that tactic or pattern into your memory, and hopefully you can better use it in your own games. So I'll try and do maybe 10 puzzles here, depending how long each one takes, and pause at any time if you want to think longer. So let's see what's happening in this first puzzle. It looks like a knight has just jumped forward. So one of the first things you want to do is ask yourself, what was the meaning behind your opponent's move? Why did they make that move? What are they trying to accomplish? And also, I had a viewer bring up, a good point as well. What changed in the position, after this move was made? What was different before? What is different now? Well, we see that this rook is just sitting here unprotected. So, that's one thing that's changed. Before, that knight was blocking this rook. So we'll see why that makes a difference here. But also, you want to look for checks, captures, and threats in that order. Checks first to see, you want to look at checks first because they're the most forcing and they force your opponent to deal with that right away. Now, one other thing, you also want to look at the material count. We have 3, 4, 7 pawns. The opponent has 6, but it looks like they have 2 knights for one of our rooks. So how can we take advantage, especially with this unprotected rook here? I'm thinking if we look at checks first, we look at that. We check there. The problem is if the king goes here, we just check. He has to move, and then we can grab that rook, which is unprotected. So you want to look at checks, especially if maybe they lead to a checkmate. But if they don't, you want to look at captures. And when you're looking at captures, definitely anytime you see an unprotected pawn or a piece especially, that should send up a flag saying, whoa, wait a minute, let me check that out. Is there any way I can take advantage of this unprotected rook? So I'm thinking we go here. If he tries to step forward, well, then we can just bring up the rook, or other rook up, and it will lead to a checkmate. So he'll have to go up here, or over here. Oh, and so maybe that, all right, let's take a look at that. That can lead to something different here. If we go there, it looks like he could go back here. So that's something else to think about. Maybe that throws a whole wrench in the works here. So if we attack, he doesn't want to go here, like I said, or we'll go there, he'll move, and then we pick that off. But if we check and he goes over here, now this bishop can jump in the way if we check. So I think we can still take advantage. We go there, he moves over here, now we check. He's going to have to run. Well, no, he can't run or we pick off his rook, so he's going to have to block. Wow. Okay. Am I missing something here? Check. Well, this is probably the first move, so I'm going to play that, of course. Now. Oh, wow. Okay, now we can just take here. He'll have to recapture. Then we can go there checking and picking off the rook. So hopefully you found all that. So take, check. Now we pick this off. And is there any way he can trap our rook? You know, this is where the puzzle ended, but I'm kind of curious about that move. The rook is really limited on where it can go after that. I mean, I guess it could go here. Anyway, I don't want to drag this video out, you know, super long, so let's move on to puzzle number 2. I probably did too much talking in that last puzzle for you anyway. And, you know, if you're lower rated, hopefully you're following along. If you're a higher rated player, I'll slowly, you know, try and mix in some videos with harder problems. This is expert level, rated, 2,000 to 2,200. So, you know, in a future video, I'll do a master level, 2,200 to 2,500, where the puzzles get, you know, a lot more difficult. All right. What happened here? What's the meaning behind this move? The rook has stepped forward, pinning the knight to the queen, and that knight is also attacked by what? The knight. Although if that knight moves, then, you know, we could capture their queen. They could be trying to go after the knight with rook and queen. So they're piling up on this knight, which is pinned to the queen. How can we deal with that? Let's see. Well, we have a rook that is doing a good job here, pinning that knight to the queen. If the knight moves, the queen will be under attack. So this is a pretty strong rook here. Do we have anything if we go there? You definitely want to look at checks first. So, you know, we have that check possible, but is it really possible? It looks like the queen could try and take. What else could we do? Maybe we could ignore that, capture there. If they take our queen, we could go here, taking out a pawn with a check and a discovered attack on the queen. So I think that's best. We go there, we take that out. But what are the responses here? I mean, the obvious move is for them to just snatch up our queen. But like I said, we could go there, delivering a check, and then pick off that queen. So I think that's what we're going to do. Oh, no, they don't like that. Okay, is there something better that I'm missing? Maybe we just capture there, because then we're threatening a mate in one if we take their queen. So if their pawn captures, then we can go here. But does that work? Because, you know, if we look at the material after all this, let's see. Now, or do we just go there? If we go there, we immediately pin. So, you know, maybe that's best. Now what do we do? Huh. Oh, we threaten a fork. We go there. Then we actually do fork and pick that up. Oh, wow. All right. That one was a little more complicated. Hopefully you figured that one out. On to puzzle number 3. Okay, the king was being checked by the queen. It runs to the back rank. And on average, it takes 3 pieces, give or take, to deliver a mate. No, it depends on the defenders that the opponent has. All right, what do we do? They ran away. We're trying to checkmate them. So how could we do that? If we look for checks first, I mean, we could deliver a check there with the queen. Although they could just block with their bishop. But then we could go here, forking, picking this off. Oh, they have a threat as well. You definitely need to take into account the threats that your opponent has. All right. Wow. Checks are usually, they're the most forcing, so often they're the best. Maybe we just start checking like this. We go here. That would force the king up, maybe back where he was. We could involve the other rook into the game with a check. And then, well, he could block like that. All right, so check. If he moves there, do we go there and get that piece in? He could block like that. Huh. Man, it seems like we should have something here, of course, but I'm having trouble figuring out how to begin here. So what do you think? All right, if we look at all the checks, the queen can go here. That looks bad. That looks bad. All those look bad. Okay. That looks bad as well. So we don't want the queen to make any of these moves or it'll just be captured. So that leaves here or here. So maybe those queen checks. We could, well, what if we just capture that and we're threatening a mate on the very next move? Once again, they could go there to block. But then we have a check. We could take with our rook. Wow, this is pretty complicated. So I'm just going to probably have to make some random move here. And we probably have to check because, like I said, this move with the fork. Now, if we move the rook here, we would just be able to take and attack their queen. They'd be able to pick that off as well. All right, I think we have to check. So what's the best way? Maybe that way? So I'm going to go with that. No, they don't like that. All right, what about the other check? Okay, so that's the one they want. But, how do we press on here? Oh, well, now, of course, we can just do this. So they block. If we take, and they have to retake with their bishop, Then we can go here and get this piece involved. So there we go. Check. Now, oh, we have the bishop. And I think that, well, it's not a mate because of this knight here. So, if we do that, though, you know, if we go there, he takes, we're going to take with a check, and we're just ahead in material. I mean, I don't know, that would just trade. So just remember, if you get ahead in material, you might as well trade down. So we have 2 extra pawns. We have a rook versus the bishop. You know, so that should be enough to try and get a win here. The only thing is, well, plus they're in check now. So what do they do about that? They have to go here. That's the only thing possible. Oh, and then we can go here. They would have to block with their bishop. We can capture that. Yeah, we'd be winning. Okay, on to puzzle number 4. Okay, what is happening here? The rook. Did it capture something there? Excuse me. The rook was under attack by the knight, so it drops back. Maybe with the idea of going here, or at least covering that, so this can't push forward, because right now that bishop is blocked in, a bad bishop, and it's blocking the rook in. So with our turn, what should we do here? If we look at checks first, it looks like, I mean, immediately I see that move. So capture with check. The only thing they can do is go there. Do we have a good follow-up, though? Remember, you don't want to check just because you can. And, you know, if I go by the system, the first thing you do is ask, what was the reasoning behind your opponent's move there? And, you know, is it a threat to you? Are you in check? But then you want to count up the material as well. So we have 6 pawns. Our opponent has the same number. We both have 2 rooks, a queen, and 2 minor pieces. So material's even. We could go ahead in material by going here. And then the king is forced to go there. We could trade material down by dropping our queen here, forking their king, their king and queen. So that's a possibility as well. But do we have something better? I don't know. That looks to be the obvious move right there. We go there. The king has to go there. So it's, you know, a pretty forcing move. Now what? The only way to keep checking that king is to go back here. And then if they take, you know, they don't have to take. The king could try and run, but they would probably take. Then we take. They could check us. We could block that. Anyway, I'm going to try it. Okay, that's what they want. Now, is there something I'm missing here? This knight is under attack. And should we try and move the knight up here? Go there. I mean, he could take it. I don't know. Do we trade material? No, they don't want that. There's something better than just trying to go into an end game up by only a pawn. All right, what am I missing here? Do we try to bring that knight in? I don't know about that move. I mean, if we go there, if they take, how do we take? With the rook? Oh no, we don't want to take with the rook because the queen is also covering that if we have to drop our rook back. Wow. Okay. Oh, maybe we just ignore our knight and go here with the queen. We're threatening to take the rook. All right, so that is what they wanted. Now we can take, and their knight will be pinned. So they'll have to protect their knight. But if they do that, we could even check them with our rook. You know, and then pick this knight off. All right, on to puzzle number 5. King has stepped forward. Wow. Okay. What can we do here? Okay, they have a rook, but we have these pawns way up the board. And usually, if you can get 2 pawns on your 6th rank against a rook, the rook won't be able to stop it. But the king is right here helping, so that could make a difference. I was thinking we go here, you know, and the king has to take. Then if we push, I mean, he could try and check us, but then we move up here. So I think that's what we have to do. We go there, he takes, we push this. Now what if he just gives that up? And then we go here. He moves his king in front of the pawn, but then we would be able to push our pawn and we'd win in the end there. So I think this is what you have to play. Oh no. What am I missing here? Huh. All right. Oh, maybe it's the same thing. If we deliver the check, the rook can't take. Oh, wow. The rook can't take because then we push this. He would have to take. We take that. Okay, it's going to go into that end game that's a win anyway. Oh, wait a minute. There's also a check. If we go there. No, he's in check, so okay, that doesn't work. So we got to go there. All right, well now, if we try to go there, he could take that, and then we can't push the other pawn because it's pinned to our king. So, you know, do we do that? He takes this. You know, and then if we try to push this, he'll take and guard the queening square. So I don't know, I'm thinking we have to do that. And then if he presses forward, Man, okay, this is yet again another example where an end game is a lot more complicated than it looks. So do we do that? Okay, that's what they wanted. Wow. Okay, so here we have to be careful because if we just take the rook, we would stalemate the opponent and it would be a draw. The king wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So I guess we would have to go here. To get behind, yeah, we have to go there. So now we get a queen. But even this, a queen versus a rook, sometimes that can be a little tricky. I mean, you should be winning with the queen and king versus king and rook. All right, we're halfway there. Let me keep this moving along if I want to do 5 more puzzles. Okay, the knight has jumped forward here. What is the purpose behind this move? Well, it looks like it unleashed a discovered attack on this unprotected bishop. What else is happening with this knight? Could attack here, and if we take, the queen could go here. But we could block and protect this pawn. So, I don't know, an obvious move is to go ahead and knock that light squared bishop out because that's a good defender of the king. And once we take this bishop, he'll have all these light squared weaknesses around his king, and maybe we can use that to our advantage in the future. Oh, and then, oh no, I was thinking, do we take this? You know, because the pawn can't take her, we'd get the queen. Oh, so maybe it's a chain reaction here. We take that. The rook takes. It's no longer protecting the knight. We can take that. Then we got this attack as well. So another issue that comes up in these more complicated puzzles is what order to make the exchanges in. You know, is it best to go here first, or do we do this first? If we do that first, it's not as forcing because they could ignore that and capture here first. So I think we have to do this first. All right, now if we take the knight, they could get our bishop. So maybe we go there first, then we take this, and the pawn can't capture, or we get the queen. So, and even if the queen, well, I don't even know what they would do now. I mean, you could go there. If he does that, we could either drop back and guard, or we could ignore that and just capture this with the queen or the bishop. All right, on to puzzle number 7. So the queen has captured a pawn, our pawn at the base of the chain. So now this one's unprotected. Do we start marching it up, trying to promote? That might be a good, that could be a good move, because if we're marching up, once we promote to a queen, it would be a checkmate. No, they could still move that knight there to defend. Okay. Huh. So we want to look at all the checks first. And also we could take a look at the material. Looks like 4 versus 5. So now they're ahead by 1 pawn. And I don't know, this looks strong, trying to promote that. But at the same time, they could start trying to promote here. Huh. We do have a check. If we go there with a check, what could the king do? Huh. Maybe that's an option as well. If we go check, the king can't go here, of course, or we would just go there, and he'd only be able to block, and we would capture, and it would be a back rank mate. So if we go here, he has to go there. Then we could bring this up, threaten a checkmate on the next move. He could guard against that with his queen, I believe. Maybe like that. All right, so check. King has to go there. What if we continue checking there, forcing him here? Now we bring our king up. Oh, and I think that's a mate. All right, check, check, and mate, I believe. Wow, okay. All right, hope you found that one. That was a little tricky, which most of these puzzles will be. As you get to this level, there's a lot more calculation involved. It's not all just about the pattern recognition. All right, on to puzzle number 8. The rook has stepped over to the center, attacking our queen. What can we do? Oh, we do have this good discovered attack possibility if we move this rook. So maybe we can just go here, discovered attack, and then I was thinking we go there, but what if we go there and they block with this pawn and attack our queen? I mean, I guess we could... Well, we could still grab their rook, and if they take our queen, we take their queen. Huh. Okay. So we go here. If they push their pawn here, we take. If they take, we take. One issue is this passed pawn looks pretty dangerous. And the problem is if they push that, well, I guess our rook is doing a good job of blocking, but we have to watch out for back rank mate threats. If our rook, as long as our rook is defending. So I think that's the way to go. If we go there, okay, they do play that move. Now, I guess, is this a better option? If we go there, we check the king. He could block again. What I'm wondering is if that's a better way to go. Do we take with a check? But then what? If we take here, he could try that. Huh. So maybe we have to do that. All right, that's what they wanted. Now we take the queen. If they take, we can take. If he tries to push this, well, we just have 2 rooks now, and that should be enough to win. All right, on to puzzle number 9. The knight has jumped forward here. We have an attack on our bishop, also a discovered attack on our knight. But we have all these pieces, well, at least 3, 2 knights and a queen hovering around our opponent's king. Oh, also, there's an attack on our queen. But I don't know. This move looks like it could be pretty strong if we go there, but the king can run away, and then what do? Oh, then we can move here because that pawn will be pinned to the king, and he'll have to go here. Okay, so let's look at this again. Check. Remember, when a king is being checked, there are 3 or less options: capture, block, or run from the checking piece. If we go here with the queen, there's no way to block that. It can't be captured. He'll have to run. The only place he can run is there. So now we could deliver a check here. He'll have to run here. Oh, and then we can just go back where we were and deliver a mate. So check, check. Oh no, that doesn't work. Almost went there. If we go there, the knight will take us. So what now? Huh. Okay. Well, if we go there and he takes, oh, we can go there. Wow. Okay, let's see if that works. We go there anyway, delivering the check. The knight is backing us up, so they would have to take with their knight, and then our other knight can jump in here, and that's a mate. Wow. Check and mate. Look at that crazy pattern. So the knights are really, working hard in this one. All right, the final puzzle, number 10. Pawn is pushed forward. It's trying to run up the board. What do we do here? We have 3 pawns versus their 2. We both have the king and rooks. So, well, if we have to move our rook out of the way to get this pawn moving, but the problem is, this thing is 3 moves away, and the rook is doing a great job of blocking the king from being able to get down here and go after this pawn. All right. Man, I guess we could maybe give that pawn up. The problem is if we move this rook... Oh, no, maybe that works. We move there. He could just keep pushing. Then... I mean, I guess we could try and go down here, over here, and go after the pawn. I'm thinking that's what we have to do, is move this out. So if we go there, if he takes, we could just go there. He wouldn't be able to go there because of the pawn, to attack our king and protect his pawn. But where's the most forcing move? If we go there, there's also another possibility of maybe trying something like that. Well, I don't know, because he could block that way. there's just a lot going on. Once again, another example of an endgame being way more complicated, and especially rook endgames like this. If you're going to study endgames, you probably ought to really study rook endgames quite a bit, because I believe they happen more often than the other endgames, especially, one rook and pawns on each side. All right. Let's see, if we go here, start pushing this up, that would take, let's see, 1, 2, and then maybe we could go 3 with a check. And if he takes, then we could promote with a check. But, what if we go here and he pushes, we push, what if he gets behind the pawn? But then we would be able to move our king down here and stop his pawn. So that's what I'm going to go with. That, check, promotion. Now, wow, what do we do here? Oh, okay. Yeah, we just bring the queen onto this diagonal here or here and prevent it from going there. The problem, though, is what if that moves down there? Well, then we have to be in a position to check. Man, okay, yeah, this last one is quite interesting. So I'm thinking we have to get on this diagonal, and then he'll go here to help guard the queening square. So if we move our queen here with check, then what do we do? Wow. Man, okay, yeah, this is tricky. What if we... Now, I was thinking if we put pressure on that, but he could just go there. Man, I don't know about this one. Okay. It looks like we have to go here or here to get on that diagonal. But if we do that, can't he just go here, guarding the queening square? And then what do we do after that? Man, we could move our queen here, delivering a check to the king. I mean, if he blocks, we could check again. Wow. Okay. I'm just going to have to make a move here, or this will be an hour-long video. Maybe that's a little bit better. Although if we go there, the king can't go back. No. There, no. Okay, neither one of those work. Well, we can't go here, or he'll just do that. And then what? if we take his rook, he retakes with the pawn, promotes to a queen. So I guess we have to just let this one promote. I don't know. This one has got me. Oh, wow. Okay, I figured it out. If you go here, you're guarding the queening square and you're pinning the rook so it can't go there. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so now you're pinning the rook to the king and it can't go there. Um, yeah, on your next move, you'll be able to get in front of it. Yeah, and you'll just be winning, especially with that extra passed pawn there that can start trying to march up the board as well. All right, well, I hope you did well on these. Feel free to leave comments. I love hearing what viewers and subscribers have to say. Also, if you want to request anything for future videos, put that in a comment. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.